Hey there, so it's been a while since I've done a video. I know I said I was going to do more, but what happened was other people did it better than me. And I've just been reposting what other people who have more qualifications over certain matters, just kind of reposting what they put. I've been concentrating on trying to have more one-on-one conversations with loved ones with mixed results, mostly negative, mostly negative. I did have finally some luck with my grandparents, but that's because they are experiencing the horrors that are happening in Miami right now. Everyone else believes, I guess, that everything's going the way that they really want it to go. This is what they voted for. I'm not sure they understand the implications of that, but I don't want to be condescending and I don't want to assume these people don't mean what they say. What I have noticed, though, is a pattern between all of them whenever I try to communicate with them. The pattern is not just the same talking points or the same spaces that they occupy with other people like them. It's how they react to having a conversation about things that challenge their worldview. The first thing I've noticed is the attitude. The attitude is this like abrasive, nothing offends me, so nothing should offend you kind of attitude, while they continuously try to offend you the entire time. If you give them back that same energy, it gets out of hand real fast. Not that I have given back that energy, because I have done a lot of work, okay, to try and mitigate those kinds of reactions, especially when I know they're trying to make me play out their script. In their movie, in their narrative, I am the villain. I am crazy because I am left of whatever they are. You have to understand this. Anybody they consider left of them are crazy, radical, overly sensitive, emotional people. So that's the first move. Their first move coming into the conversation is you are too sensitive. You are too emotional to handle this conversation, while they are the ones who end up acting emotional throughout when they realize they've got nothing to stand on, or what they are standing on, they don't actually understand. I had a sibling spitting out facts through text with no thesis, no conclusion, and no sources. In fact, when I asked for the links of the sources, they said, "You didn't tell me to give you links. How am I supposed to check the sources if you don't send me the links?" But in this sibling's mind, I was the one not coming back with my own facts. I mean, if you're trying to have a conversation with someone and you're trying to convince somebody of facts, it's helpful for you to provide links to those facts so that the other person can go check them out and cross-reference with their own information. But because I assumed that, and I really try not to assume, I really try not to. Just because I assumed that makes them feel like I'm trying to make them out to feel stupid. What can I do with that? There's nothing I can do with that. That's the other person just interpreting everything I say as an attack. And that's not the only tactic. This happens throughout the entire conversation. They'll start doing different things. So the first thing is projection. The second thing is baiting. They're baiting you in the conversation with highly emotional triggers throughout the entire time. Triggers they know, especially if they know you well. If they know you well, they know which buttons to push. So those triggers are meant to set you off and then prove their narrative right. The third thing is gaslighting. Once I determine the projection and I determine that the other person is just trying to bait me, I don't respond to that. Those are my boundaries, which I try to tell people beforehand. I'm not going to respond to overt or covert manipulation tactics. That means baiting. That means gaslighting. That means invalidating me. That's what that means. If anybody tries to do that with me during a conversation, I have to shut it down. I have to shut it down because these were tactics used on me as a child from basically until I moved out of my home permanently, like really far away from my home. So I don't respond well to those tactics at all. Even if there's just a small dash of it, a little passive aggressiveness in a comment or in a text, I'll immediately read into it. However, I have done years and years of work to not react right away, to give myself time and space to take in the words and dissect all of it, to make sure that I am responding in a mature way, in a regulated way. I do get passionate. I am very passionate, but I can't even let my passion show in these conversations, because showing that passion, that slightly elevated voice and the excitement in trying to give information doesn't go well. It just doesn't. So even when you come from a place of love and understanding like that, and I feel like that's the point I'm trying to make in this video. I think there are qualities that we're born with that make us agreeable or more agreeable, less agreeable. And then, of course, nurture is a part of it too. And we all survive trauma differently. But when you're an adult acting like a child in these conversations, it's hard for the adult in the conversation or the more mature person to parent both of you during the conversation, because the other person refuses to parent themselves, refuses to tell themselves, hey, I'm talking to a loved one here. I shouldn't try to make her feel crazy. I shouldn't try to make her feel like she can't talk to me. That kind of kindness, I'm just not finding in these people who I love. And I never did. I think most of my siblings, their kindness evaporated after they, went through their teenage years. When they were children, they were very sweet. They were very empathetic. But then you come to realize that when things get difficult, even just a little bit difficult, they shut you out. And they don't shut you out by cutting off communication. They'll let you do that so that you can be the villain, right? So that they can prove that their narrative of you being crazy, you blocking them and you shutting them out of their lives is about different political beliefs or different moral beliefs. You know what? There are some moral beliefs that if I disagree with someone, those things are fundamental to me, like, murder, genocide. I'm anti-human rights abuses. So yeah, if we disagree on those very important things, that is going to drive me away from you, because that makes me feel like you and I will never get along, even on the most mundane, shallow things in life. It does make me feel like we cannot be friends. That does not mean I can't share the world with them. That does not mean I cannot share the space with them. But if I don't have to, why should I? So when the projection doesn't work, when the baiting doesn't work, the gaslighting starts. You're too emotional, you're frantic, even though I've been calm the entire time, or even better, the conversation has been through text, where I've been extremely careful with my words, trying to remove emotionally charged words, really trying to use specific vocabulary. And yet they are telling me that I am frantic, that I need to calm down, that I'm getting upset over our argument. No, I'm not getting upset over our argument. I'm trying very hard not to be upset, like actively trying not to be upset, making sure I deep breathe whenever something triggers me in a text. Like most of my conversations have been through written form at this point, because I know that they cannot handle a one-on-one conversation. But even in written form, it just falls apart. So I have to put up with the projection, the baiting, and the gaslighting. And then when those things don't work, they just start to ridicule. They start to ridicule me for my very specific vocabulary and how I word things. It's me trying to be clear to them, since they have nothing else to hang on to. They call it you trying to be superior. They start to make fun of my education, which, by the way, I only have an AA degree. So if they're making fun of my higher education, I don't know what to do with that. What do I do with that? Like I said in a previous video, I don't feel like I'm that smart. I don't hold information as good as other people do. I've got a lot of brain fog, a lot of concentration issues. So I'm not that intelligent when it comes to like holding facts or, debating. I don't want to debate. Everything I've approached has been, let's have an approach through conversation, not debate, not trying to win over the other person or trying to say, gotcha. But that's what they do. They're the ones waiting for the gotcha moment, because that's all they have. They don't actually have facts. Or if they do have facts, they don't know how to put it together into a proper discussion or into a proper conclusion or into a proper conversation at all. And then experts say we should come from a place of empathy and remind our loved ones who they were before this personality takeover happened. But that's my roadblock. My roadblock is that this personality wasn't something that took over. This personality was shaped throughout their lives, like decades of their lives. And not only politically, their trauma has dictated their personality. Their unresolved trauma dictates their behavior. And it's bad behavior. Hey, listen, bad behavior and bad people are two different things. But man, at one point, the bad behavior is a pattern over and over and over again. What am I supposed to remind them of when all I have are mostly memories of their bad behavior? These are people who I had already limited my contact with before all of this political unrest happened. These major divides happened because of their behavior, not because of their beliefs, mostly because of their behavior, their casual cruelty, and this entitled behavior that no matter what they tell you, how they say it, you have to take it. Not just take it, but be grateful that they're telling it like it is because you need to hear it. I'm sorry, but I guess I don't have enough empathy or patience for that. Like, I've tried. And honestly, every single confrontation I've had with these personality types, these people who share these personality types and these people who share these tactics and reactions, it can't be me. It can't be me because it unearths all of the abuse I had to take beforehand. Everything that I've worked so hard to separate myself from so that I can have peace, so that I can have the life I have now. I have a very good, peaceful life in my immediate support system, in my immediate family members. The ones that I've left behind for a reason. Trying to reconnect with them now for the sake of a better future for all of us, a better future for all of our kids, I'm at a loss. I don't think I can be the one that my loved ones hear from. In fact, I'm getting closer and closer to believing that the only way they will ever change is if they have been made to feel so uncomfortable with their own choices that they have no other recourse but to go looking for help, but to go looking for answers on their own. And that's very scary because I feel like there are way too many people who have to go through this. And by the time they do go through this, by the time they do realize that not only are they hurting everyone else, but hurting themselves, I feel like it could be too late. So I am asking experts, what do we do? What do I do? I can't be the only one experiencing this. I know I'm not the only one experiencing this. Because I've talked to other people in my immediate circles, hearing it from other people on social media. So what do we do? Right now, I feel like the only thing I can do is something like this. Try to talk about something that I have felt that people aren't talking enough about. So yes, let's come from a place of empathy and let's come from a place of love and all the good stuff. And love is a choice and it's a hard choice. I do know it's a hard choice. But at what point do we put our own mental health, our own emotional health above trying to make small, very small steps or no steps at all? So what do we do? What do people like me do with our loved ones when we're in a position like this? Someone like me. I would really like to know anyone's opinion at this point. Let me know if any of you are going through any of this. That would be great.